First Contact and Hidden Agendas. The message arrived on a rainy Thursday morning at the United Earth Defense Coalition headquarters in Geneva. Commander Olivia Chen stared at the decryption results with disbelief, her coffee growing cold beside her terminal. The transmission had originated beyond Neptune's orbit and contained mathematical sequences that could only be deliberate communication. "It's genuine," she whispered to the room of stunned analysts. First Contact. Within hours, world leaders convened an emergency session. The aliens, calling themselves the Galactic Hegemony, had requested a meeting with Earth's representatives in 7 days. Their message was polite but firm. They wished to discuss Earth's integration into their interstellar community. Ambassador Elena Vega watched the recorded message for the 12th time in her office overlooking Lake Geneva. At 47, she had navigated countless delicate negotiations between hostile nations, but nothing had prepared her for this. The projection showed the alien, Archon Seltor, as he had introduced himself, a tall humanoid with iridescent blue skin and eyes that seemed to shift color as he spoke. "We bring prosperity and protection," the translated message stated. "Earth stands at a crucial threshold. We offer guidance through this transition." Elena's assistant, Marcus Kim, entered with a stack of reports. "The Security Council has chosen you as lead negotiator," he said, setting the documents on her desk. "Congratulations, or condolences. I'm not sure which is more appropriate." Elena smiled tightly. "Let's reserve judgment until we know more. What's our team look like?" "You'll have Dr. Imani Okafor for xenobiology, General Zhang for defense considerations, and Dr. Padol for technological assessment. Plus me, of course." "A small team," Elena noted. "The council thought it best. Show trust, not fear." Elena nodded, though her instincts whispered caution. 20 years in diplomacy had taught her that generous offers often concealed steep prices. Have the cultural anthropologists prepared anything on potential alien negotiation strategies? Marcus laughed nervously. They've been arguing about whether human concepts of negotiation would even apply. But they did compile this. He handed her a tablet. Possible scenarios based on historical first contact situations from Earth's history. Elena spent the next 3 days absorbing every scrap of information, sleeping little. The hegemony ship entered Earth orbit exactly as promised, a gleaming vessel that resembled a massive opal, refracting sunlight in patterns that mesmerized observers worldwide. Smaller craft descended to the prepared landing site in the neutral waters of the mid-Atlantic, where a hastily constructed floating platform awaited. Standing on the platform with her team, Elena felt the weight of 7 billion lives on her shoulders. The alien craft landed silently, its surface rippling like liquid metal before stabilizing. When the delegation emerged, Elena maintained her diplomatic composure despite her racing heart. Archon Seltor stood 2 meters tall, flanked by 4 others of his species and 2 entirely different beings, one resembling a massive insectoid with crystalline exoskeleton, the other a short, stocky creature with what appeared to be scales. Ambassador Vega. Seltor spoke through a translation device at his throat. "We are pleased by your welcome." Elena performed the greeting they had prepared, a slight bow with open palms. "Archon Seltor, Earth welcomes the Galactic Hegemony. We are honored by your presence and eager to learn." The meeting facility, a converted ocean research platform, had been prepared with environmental accommodations for their visitors based on the specifications they had provided. As they settled into the conference room, Elena noticed the insectoid being, introduced as Observer Clavex of the Tris Collective, studying her with multifaceted eyes that reflected her image dozens of times. The hegemony oversees 372 worlds. Seltor began once formalities concluded. "We bring stability and advancement to developing species. Earth has reached the threshold where your technology will soon allow interstellar travel. This transition is delicate. We appreciate your concern." Elena replied carefully. "How exactly does this integration process work?" Seltor gestured, and a 3-dimensional projection appeared above the table, a document in flowing script that transformed into Earth languages as they watched. The Standard Integration Covenant outlines the terms, he explained. The hegemony will provide technological guidance, protection from less benevolent species, and access to established trade routes. In exchange, Earth agrees to abide by hegemony regulations regarding technological development, resource allocation, and interstellar conduct. Elena maintained her neutral expression while Dr. Paddle beside her subtly tensed. This is comprehensive, she noted. Our governments will need time to review these terms carefully. Of course, Zeltor said, though his tone suggested impatience. 3 Earth days should be sufficient. All developing worlds accept these terms without modification. That night, Elena's team worked until dawn analyzing the agreement. Dr. Patel's assessment was troubling. The technology sharing provisions are carefully structured, she explained, highlighting sections of the document. They'll provide advances just significant enough to impress us, but nothing that would allow true independence. We'd remain perpetually several steps behind. General Zhang pointed to another section. And this protection essentially gives them control over Earth's orbital space and exclusive mining rights to 70% of our asteroid belt. Dr. Okafor had been unusually quiet. There's something else, she said finally. I've been studying their physiological responses during the meeting. Zeltor showed stress indicators when you asked about other species in the region, and the observer from the Tris Collective seemed surprised by several hegemony statements. Elena nodded. I noticed that too. They're not being entirely forthcoming. There's one more thing, Marcus added, pulling up astronomical data. According to our deep space observations, there's unusual activity in the Kuiper Belt. Something was there before the hegemony arrived. Elena leaned back, mind racing. We need more information before the next meeting. Let's request a tour of their vessel. Cite cultural exchange. The hegemony agreed with obvious reluctance. The next day, Elena and Dr. Okafor were permitted aboard the smaller craft, ostensibly to learn about hegemony culture. While Elena engaged their hosts with careful questions, Dr. Okafor's enhanced contact lenses discreetly scanned everything they passed. Back on the platform, Okafor downloaded her findings to their secure system. Their navigation charts, she said, displaying a star map. Look at this. The map showed trade routes spanning hundreds of light years, and Earth sat at a critical junction of 3 major routes. We're not just another primitive species to them, Elena realized. We're sitting on prime real estate. Further analysis of the Covenant revealed clauses that would effectively place Earth under hegemony control with minimal technological compensation. The resource requirements were staggering. Nearly all of Earth's rare earth elements and 30% of water resources would be directed to hegemony use. They're not here to welcome us, General Zhang said grimly. They're here to colonize us through bureaucracy. Elena spent the night formulating a response. When she finally slept, her dreams were filled with star maps and alien eyes watching her. By morning, she had made her decision, one that would either secure humanity's future or risk everything. I need to speak directly with the Hegemony Council, she told her team. Not just their representatives. And I need to know if there are other powers in this region of space. Marcus looked alarmed. You're not planning to reject their offer outright. Elena's smile was thin. Let's just say I'm planning to negotiate more favorable terms. When they met with the Hegemony delegation that afternoon, Elena listened patiently as Zeltor outlined the generous integration process. When he finished, expecting Earth's grateful acceptance, Elena stood. The United Earth Defense Coalition appreciates the hegemony's interest in our world, she began diplomatically. However, before proceeding further, I must request a meeting with the full Hegemony Council, as well as representatives from other galactic powers in this region. We cannot make an informed decision without understanding the complete interstellar context. The conference room fell silent. Observer Klavex's crystalline exoskeleton clicked softly, a sound Elena had come to recognize as interest or surprise. Zeltor's skin darkened to deep indigo, clearly an emotional response. That would be unprecedented, he said finally. No developing world has ever. Perhaps that explains the terms of your covenant, Elena interrupted smoothly. Earth may be developing by your standards, but we are not naive. We have detected other activities in our system prior to your arrival, and your own navigational charts suggest our position has strategic significance beyond what you've disclosed. The insectoid observer made a sound that might have been laughter. The human is perceptive, it said, its translator rendering the words with unexpected warmth. Perhaps the hegemony has underestimated this species. Zeltor shot a look of irritation at Klavex before turning back to Elena. You are making a grave mistake. The protection of the hegemony is not optional for worlds at your development stage. There are dangers you cannot comprehend. Elena maintained her composure. Then help us comprehend them, fully and honestly. We request formal audience with your council and information about all interstellar powers with interests in this region. Until then, Earth will not sign the covenant. As the hegemony delegation departed to confer privately, Marcus leaned close to Elena. Do you know what you're doing? He whispered. Elena watched the aliens through the transparent wall of the conference room, noting how Klavex appeared to be arguing with Zeltor. I'm playing the only card we have, she replied quietly. They want something specific from Earth, our location, our resources, or both. And I suspect they're not the only ones. Dr. Okafor nodded in agreement. The observer's reaction suggests political complexity we haven't been told about. When the delegation returned, Zeltor's demeanor had changed subtly. The council has agreed to your request, he said, his tone carefully controlled. A delegation from Earth may travel to the Hegemony Nexus station. The journey will take 4 of your days. Elena nodded, hiding her surprise at their quick capitulation. We accept. When do we depart? Tomorrow, Zeltor replied. Prepare your team. You will be the first humans to travel beyond your solar system. As the aliens departed, Elena turned to her stunned team. Well, she said with forced lightness, it seems we've just changed the rules of the game. Let's make sure we're ready to play it. Bold defiance and new alliances. The hegemony vessel cut through space with impossible speed, stars streaking past the observation portal like lines of light. Elena stood transfixed, watching the blur of distant suns. Despite the enormity of her mission, she allowed herself a moment of wonder. She was the first human to travel faster than light. It's called slip space propulsion, explained Klavex, the Tris collective observer who had joined them unexpectedly for the journey. Your scientists theorized about folding space decades ago, but the practical application requires materials not found in your system. Elena turned to the insectoid being, noting how light played across its crystalline exoskeleton. You seem more willing to share information than our hegemony hosts. Klavex made the clicking sound she now recognized as amusement. The hegemony and the collective have different approaches to emerging species. I am here to observe their methods, but I find your species particularly interesting. Because of our strategic location. Elena probed. That, and other factors. Your rapid technological development is unusual. Most species take twice as long to progress from basic flight to nuclear technology. Over the next 3 days, Elena carefully extracted information from Klavex, while Zeltor and the other hegemony representatives maintained polite distance. The picture that emerged confirmed her suspicions. The galaxy was not a unified community, but a complex patchwork of competing powers. The hegemony, the Tris collective, and a third alliance called the Stellar Concordat maintained an uneasy balance, with dozens of independent worlds navigating between them. Dr. Pittel spent her time studying the ship's accessible systems, while General Zhang engaged the hegemony security officers in careful conversation. Dr. Okafor focused on xenobiology, building a catalog of species differences that might provide negotiation leverage. On the 4th day, they arrived at the hegemony nexus. a massive artificial structure orbiting a binary star system. The station resembled a gleaming snowflake, with branching arms extending outward from a central hub. Ships of various configurations docked along these arms, representing dozens of species. The council chamber is in the central hub. Seltor informed them as they docked. They have granted you 2 hours to present Earth's position. Elena nodded, suppressing a smile. 2 hours was generous, more than she had expected. The hegemony was curious, perhaps even concerned about her rejection of their initial terms. The station's interior was a marvel of engineering. Vast open spaces with artificial gravity that adjusted automatically to different species' needs. As they were escorted through the main concourse, Elena noticed how other beings stopped to observe the humans, some recording images, others whispering among themselves. "We're quite the attraction," Marcus murmured. The first new species to reject standard integration in over 70 cycles. Klavex confirmed. It has caused quite a stir. The council chamber exceeded Elena's expectations, a vast circular room with tiered seating accommodating hundreds of beings. The 7 high councilors sat on a raised dais, each representing a major hegemony species. Behind them, a massive viewport revealed the binary stars, their light casting shifting patterns across the chamber floor. When Elena and her team were announced, a murmur rippled through the assembled representatives. They were directed to a speaking platform in the center of the chamber, exposed on all sides to the watching eyes. The eldest counselor, a willowy being with translucent skin through which complex circulatory patterns were visible, spoke first. "Ambassador Elena Vega of Earth, you have requested this extraordinary audience. The Council recognizes your right to speak." Elena stepped forward, her heart pounding, but her voice steady. "Esteemed counselors of the galactic hegemony, I thank you for this opportunity. Earth stands at a threshold, as you have noted, our first steps into a much larger community. We come seeking true partnership, not subordination." She activated the data device they had prepared, projecting a holographic display of the standard integration covenant, with key sections highlighted. The terms offered to Earth are not terms of mutual benefit, but of resource extraction and strategic control. Your own navigational charts confirm what you have not disclosed. Earth sits at a crucial junction of interstellar routes. Our solar system contains resources valuable to many civilizations. The council chamber had gone utterly silent. Elena continued, her voice gaining strength. "We reject the classification of Earth as merely a developing world requiring protection and oversight. We reject the resource allocations that would strip our planet of materials crucial to our own development. And we categorically reject any agreement that does not acknowledge Earth's sovereign right to determine its own path among the stars." One of the counselors, a being resembling a massive feathered serpent, coiled forward. "You speak boldly for a species that has not yet left its own solar system. The dangers of space are beyond your comprehension. The hegemony's protection is not optional. It is necessary." "Is it protection you offer, or control?" Elena countered. "Our analysis of your covenant reveals that Earth would surrender 70% of its rare elements, 30% of its water resources, and all autonomy regarding space development. In exchange, we would receive technology deliberately engineered to keep us dependent on hegemony assistance." Another counselor spoke, this one a hulking figure with metallic skin. "What alternative do you propose? Your world is vulnerable to threats you cannot imagine. The stellar Concordat would strip your planet bare if given the chance. The Tris Collective would study your species like laboratory specimens." Klavex clicked loudly from the observation area, clearly objecting to this characterization, but was silenced by a glare from the council leader. Elena smiled. "You confirm what we suspected. Earth has options beyond the hegemony. Before making any commitments, we intend to hear proposals from all interested parties." The chamber erupted in shouts and untranslatable vocalizations. The council leader raised all 4 of his arms, restoring order. "This is unprecedented," he declared. Never has a pre-interstellar species negotiated in this manner. Perhaps that is why your standard terms are so one-sided, Elena replied. Earth proposes an alternative, a limited partnership that allows us to develop our own interstellar capabilities while granting the hegemony preferred trading status and limited access to our system's resources. We will establish our own security, with technical assistance where needed, but no permanent hegemony presence in our system. The Council conferred among themselves, their private communication inaudible to the human delegation. During this time, Elena noticed representatives from other delegations watching her with what appeared to be respect or interest. Finally, the Council leader addressed her again. Your proposal is rejected. The hegemony cannot permit unregulated development in a system of such strategic importance. However, he paused, we may consider modifications to the standard terms, perhaps a staged integration, with benchmarks for increased autonomy as your civilization demonstrates responsibility. Elena had expected this. We will consider your counterproposal, but not exclusively. Earth will hear offers from all interested parties before making any commitments. As murmurs spread through the chamber, a new voice spoke, strong and resonant, coming from a previously silent observer at the chamber's edge. The Stellar Concordat requests formal recognition to address the Earth delegation. The speaker was humanoid but tall and lithe, with silver-white skin and eyes that shimmered like opals. The council leader's skin darkened with obvious displeasure. Ambassador Vega, he said tightly, this session was granted for your response to our offer, not to open negotiations with other powers. Elena maintained her diplomatic smile. Yet you yourself referenced the Concordat as an alternative, suggesting Earth has choices to make. In the interest of informed decision-making, we would hear their perspective. Before the Council could object further, other voices joined in, representatives from the Tris Collective, from independent trading worlds, from species Elena had never seen before. The chamber became a chorus of competing claims for Earth's attention. The Council leader struck a resonating crystal beside him, the sound cutting through the noise. This audience is concluded, he announced. The hegemony will prepare a revised proposal for Earth's consideration. Ambassador Vega, your delegation will be escorted to private quarters while the Council deliberates. As they left the chamber, Elena could feel hundreds of alien eyes following them. Once in their assigned quarters, luxurious but clearly monitored, Marcus finally released the tension he'd been holding. That was either brilliant or suicidal, he breathed. You've turned their entire integration system upside down. Dr. Okafor nodded. The xenobiological stress indicators were off the charts. The Council was genuinely shocked by your approach. What happens now? General Zhang asked, checking the room for surveillance devices. Elena looked out at the vast station, watching ships come and go like fireflies against the blackness of space. Now we wait for the offers to come in, she said quietly. And they will come. She was right. Within hours, diplomatic requests began arriving. The Stellar Concordat, the Tris Collective, and 5 independent worlds all sought private meetings. Elena scheduled them carefully, extracting information from each while committing to nothing. The Concordat offered advanced weaponry and defensive systems in exchange for alliance against the hegemony. The Collective proposed cultural and scientific exchange with minimal resource requirements. The independent world sought trade agreements and mutual defense pacts. On the third day, Seltor himself arrived at their quarters, his blue skin now pale with stress or anger. The Council has revised its offer, he said without preamble, transmitting a document to their system. These terms recognize Earth's unique position while still providing necessary protections. Elena reviewed the document carefully. The new proposal reduced resource requirements by half, allowed Earth to maintain its own defense forces with hegemony oversight, and established a timeline for increased autonomy. This is a significant improvement, she acknowledged, but still far from equal partnership. Seltor's eyes flashed with color. You push beyond all reasonable boundaries, Ambassador. The Council has never made such concessions. Perhaps they should have, Elena replied calmly. Change is inevitable. Archon, Tor. The question is whether the hegemony will adapt or be left behind. That evening, a surprising visitor arrived, Observer Clavex, accompanied by the silver-skinned Concordat representative. We come unofficially, Clavex explained, to share something the hegemony has concealed. The Concordat representative, who introduced himself as Sentinel Amar, produced a small device that projected a detailed star map of Earth's region. Your system sits at what we call a nexus point, he explained, a natural convergence of slip space pathways. Such points are rare and invaluable for interstellar commerce and defense. The hegemony has been securing all such points for centuries, Clavex added. Not through open conquest, but through these integration agreements. Once established, they control who may access these routes. Elena studied the map, pieces falling into place. And if Earth refuses integration, they will eventually attempt military control, Emar said grimly. But not if Earth establishes formal relationships with multiple powers first. The political cost would be too high. We propose an alternative, Clavex continued. A Nexus Accord. Earth would maintain sovereignty while granting regulated access to all three major powers and key independent worlds. No single entity would control the Nexus, but all would benefit from its use. Elena considered the proposal carefully. And Earth would receive technology transfers and defense assistance from all signatories. Equal exchange, Emar confirmed. Your world has unique resources and a strategic position. We offer partnership, not subjugation. Over the next 2 days, Elena assembled the framework for this unprecedented agreement, consulting with representatives from a dozen worlds, while keeping the hegemony informed of her progress without revealing details. On the 7th day, she requested a final council audience. The chamber was even more crowded than before, with representatives from nearly 30 species in attendance. The council leader looked down at her with obvious resignation. Ambassador Vega, you have created quite a disturbance in our established protocols. What is Earth's response to our revised offer? Elena stood tall, aware of the historic moment. Earth respectfully declines exclusive integration with the hegemony. Instead, we propose the Earth Nexus Accord, a multilateral agreement establishing Earth as an independent, sovereign nexus point with regulated access for all signatories. She transmitted the document to the Council and to all representatives present. This accord has already received preliminary support from 17 worlds, including major representatives of the Tris Collective and the Stellar Concordat. The Council chamber erupted once more, but this time with a different energy. Excitement, opportunity, change. The eldest counselor studied the document, his translucent skin pulsing with complex patterns. This is without precedent, he said finally. You have rewritten the rules of interstellar diplomacy in a single week, Ambassador Vega. Not rewritten, Elena corrected gently. Merely proposed an alternative that benefits all rather than privileging few. Earth does not wish to disrupt the stability the hegemony has built, but to enhance it through true cooperation. After hours of debate, the Council took an unprecedented step. They provisionally accepted the Earth Nexus Accord, pending final approval from their respective governments. As the human delegation prepared for their return journey, they were approached by representatives from dozens of species, many offering congratulations, others seeking clarification on the Accord's terms. You have accomplished something remarkable, Clavex told Elena as they boarded the vessel that would take them home. In the span of 10 Earth days, you have altered the balance of power that has stood for centuries. Elena smiled, feeling both triumph and the weight of responsibility. We've only begun. The real work starts when we return home. As the ship accelerated away from the station, Elena watched the massive structure recede until it was just another point of light among the stars. Earth was about to step onto the galactic stage, not as a protected world, but as an equal partner. The journey ahead would be challenging, But humanity would face it on their own terms. "Set course for Earth," she told the hegemony pilot. "We have news to deliver."